Hey folks, it's Tom, your frugal prepper. So I got a call at work today from my mom and my oldest son. They out running errands for the 2009 Buick Lacrosse. Wouldn't start. So I was trying to just I'm like, is it cranking over and not starting? Does it sound like it runs and shuts off? Is it just clicking? Not getting anywhere. So they tried to open the hood for the next 15 minutes. I'm trying to be like, no, there's a latch that you have to push over. Finally, they get the hood open. They're like, well, something's smoking by the battery. It smells like it's burning. There's smoke. I'm like, well, make sure the key's out of the ignition. So they had the ignition on. They turned that off. I'm like, just don't do anything till I get there. So I left work early. I'll show you what I found. Okay, so I arrived, and first thing I noticed when I looked down in there is the bottom coil pack. It's got a big melty spot on it. See, it's not supposed to have this big giant melty spot that's coming out. It's supposed to look like this one. So, that's evidently where the smoke was coming from, right? So, I knew I had this at home with 2 coil packs on it that I knew were good. I got it out of the junkyard a while ago when I was fixing an Oldsmobile Silhouette. So the coil packs are the same, but the connectors for the control module are completely different. This one's got a connector on the end. So I ran home and grabbed this and replaced that coil pack. Still no spark. And you can pull the plug wires off of 2 of these leads, and the spark should jump in between when you crank it. So no spark. So I checked the fuse that feeds the electronic ignition, and sure enough, it was blown. Popped another 15 amp fuse in there, and it blew. So I was imagining that this is bad at that point, that coil pack shorted out and blew this, or maybe vice versa, I don't know. But I'm suspecting that this is probably bad. So this part, 1 year warranty one was 130, a 2 year, or lifetime warranty one was 160. So not a cheap part. I want to try to make sure this is it, right? So what I elected to do, I didn't have a multimeter with me. I did have a test light, a couple T-pins. So I went ahead and undid this connector first of all. I just unplugged it and made sure with it unplugged, if we turned the ignition on, cranked it with a fuse in it, that didn't pop the fuse. So I know I didn't have a short in the wiring. I then got on my phone. Was able to get to BBB Industries and pull up a diagram on it. That took for a while on my slow, crappy phone. But I was able to get that PDF open with the diagram, and I was able to figure out where the power ground was and check that. That was all fine. And it was getting power. I knew it had a ground, and I knew that when it was plugged in only, it was popping the fuse. That told me that this module was shorted. Maybe there's a couple other tests I could have done. But I'm on the side of the road, and I got to work fast. So I decided at that point that that's enough evidence to say that this is bad as well. Since this module was melted down, I'm assuming that it's bad. The other 2 modules looked fine, but I didn't have a multimeter to ohm them or anything, so I had to hope for the best, that one of those wasn't shorted as well or something. But I figure at that point, I'm pretty sure they're not. So yeah, I went ahead and went and got this module. We got the lifetime warranty one. Popped her in there with the new coil for that position and the 2 old coils, and it fired right up. So what I'll do when she comes back, like next weekend to visit, is go ahead and pop off the other 2 coil packs, and I'll pop off all 3 of them, ohm across them, and make sure they're not like shorted, although I think they're nearly shorted anyway. I'll try to figure out what an ohm measurement should probably be for them. And the other thing I'll probably do is measure the current on that circuit through that fuse, and then I'll like unplug one and see if the current goes by a third, right, and a third as I unplug them. If I unplug one and it drops in half, then I know obviously that one's drawing more current than the others, right? So I can kind of figure out if that current draw seems about right. Just to make sure that we don't have the other two modules. My concern might be that they're getting ready to short out or starting to draw too much current, and then they'll do the same thing and blow a module. You never know. It might be best just to shotgun this whole thing and replace it all. But that's an expensive proposition, $160, and I think they want almost $50 a piece for these or something. That's expensive to replace them all. So luckily I was able to save her a little money because I had some sitting in the garage of the coil packs. And I was able to get her going without having to have a tow or anything. And she broke down pretty close to an Advanced Auto Parts, so that was handy. And I had enough tools in my car to get the job done. So just thought I would share. If you have a GM, a Buick or whatever that's got a 3800 in it, it might be worth, if you're at the junkyard or the pick and pull, pop one of these modules and some coil packs off and see how much they want for the whole thing. It might be a good idea just to have one on hand, even keep it in the trunk. Alright, I'll just quickly show you. I have not gotten anywhere with the engine. It's I wiped it all down really good with oil so it wouldn't rust. I am going to be working on it. I did get my main bearings in. Let's see here. So I've got my main bearings in. And so I'll be getting those in and running some plastic edge by them. And then I'll be ordering rings and rod bearings. I don't know if I'll order both of those on payday or just one or the other. Like I said, I got to break this up over paydays by a little here and a little there. But if I can get the crank in and plastic edge, that will be one step closer. What I want to do though is put that dowel pin in, because the machine shop guy told me he made the dowel pin, but he wasn't sure exactly how long it should be, which it needs to be the exact same as the other one was. But that I might need to like put it in there and then belt sand it. So if I got to do that, I got to kind of cover everything up real good, maybe tape it off, then belt sand that dowel pin. I don't want to get metal shavings and dust in the block. And that, you know, so I want to do that before I start putting in main bearings. So I'll probably work on that dowel pin and then just give everything a thorough good cleaning again, and then we'll put the mains in. I'll just verify the fitment of the balance shaft assembly with the dowel pin installed, make sure that's all good and ready to go. So I know everybody's probably wondering what's going on with the engine. It's just, it's busy, it's work, you know, it's stuff. I did buy this little guy though at Harbor Freight, and I got me some I want to get a carbide cutter. I don't have one. I got some round files to put on this guy though. But when I was doing that hub the other day, I was like, this would work really well. And like Eric O's got a big fancy carbide cutter kit and a fancier setup, but I'm like, this would work really well with just a round file. I turn the regulator down. I don't even have to have it turn at the full speed. But for cleaning that corrosion out on the inside of the hubs, on the knuckle where the hub goes, when I'm replacing the hub. So I picked that up. It was pretty cheap. It was like $19 or something. That'll come in handy. Well, that's about all that's going on in the garage. I'm getting ready to replace some light bulbs on the outside of the garage. That's about it. I did take the brakes apart on the truck there behind me over the weekend, and I got some tires replaced on it. It needs a upper intake gasket and new isolator bolts put in it. I might do that. And the caliper sticking on the passenger side, and the gear shifter's all loose and messed up. I got to tighten that down. And the PT Cruiser, The mode selector cable for the heat and air is seized. So I'm going to order that at the dealership on payday. They might have it in stock. I got to tear that dash apart and replace that thing. I hate Chryslers. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. This is Tom, your Frugal Prepper.